So today we're talking with Samir Dedia. He is the CEO of Real Mortgage, and we're going to be picking his brain about Real's vision of unifying the brokerage, the mortgage, and the title company all together, and go over some very unique benefits to loan officers and real estate agents for using Real Mortgage. Samir, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Malcolm. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat about mortgage with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm more excited to talk about like Real's broader vision
Yep.
and how we're going to use Real Mortgage to really kind of dominate this space. Do you mind kind of start talking just from the beginning and kind of what was Real's vision for starting Real Mortgage in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So just so you know, I've been in the mortgage space for almost 22 years, and I'm one of the founders of our previous company that we sold to Real about two and a
Ah,
half years ago.
Lemon
So
Brew
we've
Lending,
been,
is that
yeah,
right?
Lemon Brew Lending, exactly. So we've been in a space, it's not like we just all of a sudden decided to create a mortgage company.
Hmm.
We personally are like subject matter experts who have been in this space for a very, very long time. And we've seen a lot of things, right? And just to give you a little bit of background, when we were approached by Real and we started connecting with Real, we didn't know who Real was, quite honestly, about 2.5 years ago. Never heard of the name, and started really having deeper conversations with Tamir and the executive team on what the vision was. And to your point, the real end goal, the end vision is an ecosystem that houses all major units of the real estate transaction. And where Tamir and I really connected, quite honestly, was what we believe the future should look like. And I know that's hard for a lot of people because we're in the day to day, right? Just like in real estate and mortgage, we're trying to close deals, we're grinding things out. But when we took a step back, we really looked at, my kids, for example, who are teenagers in high school. His kids, his older son, who's like, already in the military, and his kids are growing up. But really thinking about what does the future generation want when they buy a home? What do they want the transaction to look like? And honestly, Malcolm, what we want it to look like right now, even today, if we had a magic wand and we could say, what do we want? We want efficiency. We want transparency. We want better collaboration across all lines of each part of the business that's helping a client serve their purpose of getting a home. And so we thought about this and we talked about it. And look, I have experience through Lemon Brew. We had an ecosystem that we built. It was much smaller, obviously, but we didn't have the partnership with real estate professionals, real estate agents that we could really lean on to help and figure out innovative ways to move it forward. So it was really around a central platform that connects everyone, all parties involved, to make it seamless and more efficient.
Hmm.
One of the things I say even today, I believe a client, a buyer, should be able to go from contract to ready to close, what we call clear to close in the mortgage world, in 10 days or less. Like that's where I believe this needs to go in order for more and more people to want to buy a home.
Wow. Yeah. 10 days. A lot of times it takes, at least 30 days. During the pandemic, it was taking 45, 60 days
Correct.
for a lot
Yep.
of these things. How would you guys be able to get a client clear to close within 10 days? Like, what are the steps that need to be expedited or more efficiencies added in order to make that happen?
Yep. And I look at it from having the advantage of being in one centralized platform, like we even mortgages today within reason, but adding title, adding maybe insurance, adding other pieces of the transaction. If, Malcolm, if you look at it quite honestly, if you think of 2025 and all the technology advancements that have happened so far, why are we still talking about 30, 45, and 60-day closings? It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. And when I say clear to close, I don't mean just from the mortgage piece. I mean the time a client signs a contract to the time we get to the finish line, it shouldn't take more than 10 days. But we know that there's gaps in the process, there's friction. And a lot of the friction, Malcolm, that we see is really just communication, lack of integration, lack of transparency. And you have, for example, you speak to a mortgage lender who's not connected somehow or some way to a real estate company, to a title company, and all of a sudden everyone's giving their own story of their delays, and you don't know what really is happening, what's causing the backlog. But how I see it, in order to get to that utopian state, we need to be relying more on data pulling, not on
Hmm.
data pushing, right? If we look at everything that we do today, we're still relying on clients to enter information and rely on that, information to be accurate, but it may not be. And then there's delays with documentation on pay stubs or W-2s on the mortgage side. And to me, if we have a title company, if we have a mortgage company, if we have a real estate company, there's a lot of data we can actually pull pretty quickly from listings, from MLSs, from title information on a property. Someone's credit or income or asset information can be digitally pulled. So why are we not relying on those areas of opportunity to create a better, seamless, quicker, transparent process. And the true reason is everyone's disconnected, they're disjointed, right? There's not one central goal. Title's worried about getting the title clear and quick. Mortgage is worrying about that condition or clear to close. Real estate's worrying about perhaps inspections or other things. And if we look at the whole transaction, he's always said it, the agent is at the center of the transaction, right? The client's talking to the agent, relying on the agent to connect the pieces and be the conduit or the trusted advisor in the middle to help them. But if we can make it efficient across the board for agents, for loan officers, for title companies, most importantly, the clients, wouldn't everybody want to just participate in that transaction because it's so much easier and seamless and everyone could get paid faster, right? Clients can get their home quicker. All of those things will start to happen. But are we there right now? No, we're not there, right? And that's why we're doing what we're doing today to really integrate all pieces of the real estate transaction into one centralized platform.
Yeah, I love the vision because, like, as you're pointing out, like currently they go with a real estate agent at one company, and then we send them to another company for the loan officer. We send them to another company for the title company. They're really not communicating other than emails, and we're all using different technology and different platform as well. So I see the vision of where there's going to be gaps that you can create more efficiency. Yeah. What are the different technologies or platforms that all three services are going to be using? If a client went through with a real broker agent, a real broker title, and a real broker lender, like what are we all using reZen? Are we all using Real Signature for all three of those services?
Yes, to both. Right now, today, which is awesome, we built our own proprietary point of sale with Pritesh and the technology team, kind of like working with them for the last 2.5 years on what's needed, what kind of questions need to be asked, how do we even change the way questions are asked, period, right? To make it more fun and less stressful. So we're already in reZen. Title will be in reZen. We believe reZen to be the central platform. Now, from a client's perspective, they don't know what reZen is, right? So they're coming into one funnel, one central platform, which can then point them in different directions and give everyone full transparency. Today, what happens is a client is working with you, for example, or any real estate agent. You say, hey, we have a great lending partner with One Real Mortgage. They're part of our sister company at Real. In order to work with them, here, I'm going to send you a quick link, for example. So you can invite the buyer right from the One Real Mortgage button, if you will, in reZen. And that client can go through the actual application flow, uploading documents in a secure portal, giving you, the agent, also visibility at high levels, not obviously information that you shouldn't have, but where the file is. As we grow, we have Leo Copilot that we're building, our AI engine. We're going to be getting more involved with AI to, not have an individual have to waste their time on, questions that maybe AI can answer for them, which are, mortgage, real estate. You typically have the most common questions that pop up most of the, 80-90% of the time. So we'll be using AI a lot more to help create a more seamless, streamlined process to help us get to that efficient state that we're looking for.
Right, that makes sense. And where is Real Mortgage right now? Like, how many states are you guys in right now? And kind of what's your vision for 5 years from now? Where do you see this business going?
Yeah, so currently today we are a mortgage broker, right? And just want to highlight that real quick. Some people cringe when they hear the word mortgage broker because when I speak to a lot of retail loan originators, they're like, well, you don't have control on your file. So, but we do, right? Currently today, just so you know, we run an extremely tight, efficient process where we can take a client from, in the mortgage world, from submission to underwriting to clear to close in about 15, 20 days max, wow. Right? Yeah. And we do, but again, brokers give us being a broker gives us the ability to do a lot of different types of loans, your non-QM, your USDA, your down payment assistance program. So I want to start there, just letting everyone know that we are a mortgage broker, which gives us a lot of options and flexibility. Now, from a state perspective, we are in 20 states plus the District of Columbia. We are adding 3 more states now. So we will be in Tennessee, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and Virginia rather, in the next few weeks. So our vision though is to be in all 50 states, quite honestly. If Real is all 50, we want to be in all 50. However, we don't just walk into a state and say, hey, everyone, we're here, please send us deals. We do it strategically. We make sure we have a partnership with Real agents, along with possibly other loan originators or loan officers that maybe know some of the Real agents that are looking to join One Real Mortgage. We do it strategically, but the goal is to be in all 50 states and eventually also go from brokering to lending, right? Where we're controlling everything in-house. To get to the 10 days that I was speaking of, we need to have more control, right, over our own business. And lending will help us get there as one component of it and give us more flexibility to close even quicker.
Wow. So that's the actual vision for the future, is that you guys would be the actual lenders
Lender, correct.
as well as the loan officers. Wow.
Yeah. And look, brokering will always be a part of who we are and part of our business. However, we can be selective and not have to put everything on our balance sheet and fund those loans if it may be a little bit riskier. So we're going to be smart about it. But many of the deals that are pretty common deals today that you find other lenders like lending, like there's many that are actual lenders, but they broker non-QM, for example, down payment assistance programs, maybe FHA loans. They're not putting it on their balance sheet. So we'll be smart and methodical about it, but the vision is to be a lender.
Yeah, no, I love that vision. And so what are some of the benefits or incentives for our consumers, for our clients to actually use Real Mortgage?
Yep. So there's a few, right? Number one, right now, for example, we're running a bunch of different types of promotions. For example, we have a credit that the real estate arm is actually offering to consumers. $2,500 if they're working with a Real buyer's agent along with one Real Mortgage. It's not coming out of anyone's pocket. It's literally coming out of Real's pocket to the client directly at closing. The second one, which we just launched, which is amazing, is a VA appraisal credit. So if we have a buyer who's utilizing their VA home loan and it's a purchase transaction, we will cover their appraisal fee. And appraisal fees are pretty expensive now. They're $700 to $800. When I started, they were $300-400 max. I mean, they've doubled in just a short period of time, but we're doing those things. But more than the promotions, I think those are equally important, right? We're going to always be innovating and finding new ways to integrate real estate mortgage title, for example, to give the client a bundle package, if you will, with some incentives to make it, make sense for them to use all of our services. But beyond that, I believe it's really about the technology integration, right? Again, I believe more consumers are not willing to purchase homes because of the transaction itself, the clunkiness of it itself, right? Like we talked, having these different business units not communicating together.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have integration even today makes it a lot more streamlined, a lot more seamless. That's really, really important. I tell this to everyone. For consumers, what are they really looking for? They're looking for speed to certainty. They want less stress, less friction, and just certainty that they're going to buy their home. Mortgage, title, real estate, inspections, we're all just little pieces in this big puzzle, but ultimately they want that beautiful home that they see that they can envision themselves in. But obviously most people don't want to go through that process because they hear the horror stories of it was a nightmare, last minute changes, we didn't know what was happening, the black hole. Those are all operational gaps, if you will. I don't believe those to be gaps in the overall process. But when you have more and more disconnected people doing, each part of the process, you're going to have inherently those issues, right? So the integration, the promotions, and honestly, hold on one second here, like that all leads to what we want. We want a seamless consumer experience. We want the consumers to go work with our Real agent partners and have such an enjoyable experience that they tell everyone, like, Real is the place to be, right? Now, are we going after consumers directly? No, we're working with our agents to create an efficient process. But now when the consumers enjoy the process, they're going to enjoy all of it, right? Not just one piece and hate the other or vice versa. This gives the opportunity to enjoy the entire process, which which makes them want to come back for more or referring all their friends and family, and really just creating raving fans for our institution, our company as a whole.
Yeah, I love the vision of them. It's a one-stop shop. They come to Real and they're provided all these services that I really do see that being more efficient for them and just less stress, easier communication with them as well. And when it comes to real estate agents, I talk to hundreds of agents a year, and one of the growing trends that I'm seeing is more and more agents becoming a loan officer and the real estate agent on the same transaction. Yeah. And I love this concept because it just increases the amount of commission that you make per transaction. And what the hardest part of both those industries is just generating the client in the first place. Yes. We already have the client and we're literally just giving them away to loan officers because they buy us lunch once a quarter or something. And one of the unique things is that if you're an agent with Real Broker, you can also be a mortgage lender with Real Mortgage on the same transaction. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the benefits? Why would a real estate agent consider becoming a loan officer with Real Mortgage as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we call that program, Malcolm, Real Originate. So how Real Originate was thought of, like I'm sitting there, this is well before NAR and all the things that were happening. And, I was thinking, real estate professionals, real estate agents are involved in the transaction. They really are. If you think about it, logically, a client speaks to an agent. They give, the agent's asking them high-level information. The information that then gets passed on to their preferred lender. The preferred lender, the agent, and the client are all communicating together. The train keeps moving, if you will. Now, the agent will sometimes get involved if there's lack of communication, maybe effective communication. There's gaps in, maybe there's misunderstandings. Maybe the client is just silent for whatever reason, right? So when we look at this, the main goal of One Real Mortgage working with Real isn't just to create higher attachment rates and get more deals from real agents, but it's like, how do we create an actual partnership that lasts? That's not just based on money. You mentioned it, going out for lunch, going out for dinner, sponsoring events, paying for Zillow co-marketing spend. Like all of those things are like the normal way, if you will, joint ventures and MSAs, of course. But how do we get innovative and really say, all right, we want to create the integration between technology, but also in the human side as well. So we created this program where a real estate agent at Real can participate in the Real Originate program, not have to do all the heavy lifting that a typical loan originator has to do, pulling credit, examining the 1003, looking for missing documents. Like they have a partner. So their partner is really the normal, if you will, the normal, the normal experienced loan officer who knows like how to navigate through loans. So if you think of this process, the agent's typically doing what they have to do, what they normally do today. The loan originator or loan officer is doing what they have to do or what they normally do today. And the client, if you think about it, is just in the middle getting the benefit because they're locked in more. They're locked in better, right? Two parties. Now, all three are really stitched well together, also leveraging our technology and the integrations there. So this is an opportunity for real estate professionals to get their license. And a lot of them are like, I speak to a lot, they're like, oh, it's so hard and it's really difficult. The reality is it's not. And I know it may feel that way, but because real estate agents in particular already have a really good grasp or knowledge of high-level mortgage, if you will, in the real estate transaction, 98% of our candidates that we're bringing in from the real estate side have passed the exam on the first try, just by using our education platform, the sample tests that they can do over and over again. Just by doing those things, they're passing quickly. And that's the hardest part, right? After that, it's pretty seamless. And I know what happens is most agents will compare the current licensing process for real estate and assume that mortgage is 10 times harder. The reality is it's not. It's a lot more streamlined and it's a lot easier to do. So we've seen a major influx for us. Just so you know, we have now over 100 loan officers at One Real Mortgage, of which 60% are real agents working under the Real Originate platform at One Real Mortgage. And it's working, right? With the integrations, with the things. Is it perfect? No, but no process ever is, as we know. But it's working where we see conversion happening. And both, we call them the external loan officer, which is the agent paired with the internal loan officer. It's all about how they handle their partnership. Are we getting together once a week to talk about strategies? Are we talking about market conditions? Are we seeing, hey, what's working, what's not? Because I never tell anyone that you have to work in this world. Like this is how you have to handle your process. I'm a big proponent of figure out what works best for you and your partnership to make sure your business grows, right? And people don't think about this, which is interesting, and I understand why, but agents aren't thinking about the refinance opportunities. That's a major opportunity to help their previous clients and stay in touch, to also make money off of those deals as well. And think about it. Think about how many agents they have so many clients in their database that may have already closed in the 7 or 8%. And I know rates aren't where we want them to be today, but there's still like a 1 to 1.5% reduction from where we were about a year and a half ago or a year ago. So there's a lot of our agents are also refinancing their previous clients, and it works as a great tool to just be in touch with those clients. Hey, wanted to get some information, see if there's an opportunity for you to save some money. I'm here with you not just for your purchase transaction, but to help you in any financial decision you have going on for the rest of your life. So there's things that we've done that are really like elevated those things, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's a growing trend of that the average agent commission is slowly diminishing every year, and
Right.
that's probably going to continue over the next decade or so. That the buyer agent commission is decreased, and I love this because it's just another way to monetize your same clients, make more of a commission off the
Yep.
exact same number of deals. And you bring up a great point about the refinancing. That's actually an extra value add that you're providing to your past clients. And I mean, I would assume interest rates, I'm hoping they drop over the next 5 years or so, even if
Yeah.
it's just a little bit. If you could call up your past clients like, hey, I crunched the numbers, we can save you
Yep.
$100 a month, $500 a month. I think that's a huge value add. And you talked before that there are other like incentives for agents or for loan officers to help kind of grow Real Mortgage. Can you talk about some of
Yep.
those incentives and other streams of
Absolutely.
income?
So, we look at our model as a reinvention of ourselves. We've been around for a long time. However, how do we look at what's working and what's not and change the game? So obviously at One Real Mortgage, in order to earn income, in order to earn any sort of compensation, first things first, you have to be a licensed loan originator with One Real Mortgage. That's first, right? So now if you are, you can start participating in many other alternate ways or additive ways to make money, right? And if you look at Real's model, it's grown because of that same mindset. So when we first came aboard, I'm watching, just observing the growth that's happening at Real on the real estate side, saying, this is pretty wild to watch this mindset around this culture around community and collaboration. And it's just going in like super speed, warp speed, and I started digging in further, and it started with, in my opinion at least, the rev share model. Even though like the rev share model, everyone's here to help, but what did the rev share model do? I believe it created a mindset around helping everyone around us, helping everyone around us grow. And if we have the same mindset on mortgage, which doesn't happen today, there's maybe a couple companies that have a similar model, but nothing to what we have today. We have this compensation, we call it, Level Up. Level Up is our coaching and attraction compensation program. Similar to the 5-level rev share model that Real has on the real estate side. The couple differences are, though, we have 0 caps. So whatever you earn on that compensation program, you're getting paid 100% of it. The other thing we added was the ability to create co-sponsorship. We call it Level Up Partnership, but it's basically the same thing. Let's say, Malcolm, you're at an event, you meet some great loan officers in the industry, and you're getting them interested about One Real Mortgage. All of a sudden, though, they're starting to ask really specific mortgage questions, and you're not really sure of the answer. What systems? What does the pricing look like? What are some of the lenders? What are some of the products? Right? All of those things that would naturally happen. But now you have the ability to co-sponsor with another maybe licensed loan officer who has experience in maybe your state that may know more. Now you can benefit and have a co-sponsorship mentality there, or set up there, a partnership there, in order to kind of maximize that. Because again, for many, I noticed this early on in our Real Originate days, many of our agents were really good at bringing them in, but then things started getting a little bit tougher for them to kind of get deeper into understanding how our systems work or whatever it may be. So that's that. Like, that's our Level Up program, which is amazing. It's grown quite a bit. A lot of people are taking advantage of the opportunity to attract like-minded people to One Real Mortgage and build this culture of community and collaboration like we did so well and like we're doing so well on the real estate side. But then we are looking further, and as we move along, I'm like, well, what is Real doing on the real estate side? Can we take pieces of their other ways to make money mindset of model, if you will, and plug it into mortgage? And I started looking at stock, saying, well, hey, technically speaking, anyone can duplicate what we're doing, right? There's nothing proprietary about Real Originate, about our coaching and recruiting, onboarding, plans. What can we offer that's unique to Real? And Sharon and I speak a lot, and we speak a lot about this partnership mentality. Like, we want to create partners around us. We don't want to create an employer-employee relationship. Number one, it's not fun at all. And number two, we're building this rocket ship, and we all want to do it together. So we rolled out a plan for loan officers, loan originators, where if they close or fund 20 million in volume, mortgage volume, in a 1-year period of time, that's refis and or purchases, they will earn $15,000 in Real stock. If they attract someone to One Real Mortgage, and they're a licensed individual, obviously they have to be, they will earn $500 in real stock if that individual funded their first loan in the first 90 days.
Mm.
We've been paying out a lot of stock on that one right now because we're bringing in, and again, it really stems on production. Like, we don't want to be a mortgage company that's celebrating how many loan officers we're bringing onto our company, our platform. Like, that's not what this is about. We're all going to win if there's production, though. So how do we get more methodical about who we're attracting to One Real Mortgage, making sure that they have some book of business and we can plug them in and help grow their business by plugging them into our agents and all the other things that we have to offer here. That's the mindset that we have, right? If you're looking for a turnkey operation, we're not it. We're still in building mode, right? If you're looking for a place where, I don't want to integrate or collaborate with other agents and I'm good where I am, we're probably not it as well. Like, what I found our success so far has been loan officers who are closing 2 to 3, maybe 4 deals a month currently. Really good people. They can, roll with the punches, roll up their sleeves, and kind of get their hands dirty a little bit just to help kind of build this thing and want to take advantage of the upside we have to bring. And then we can bolt them into our platform and double or triple their production within 6 months to a year. That's where we found to be our secret sauce. Our where we've thrived so far in the last couple of years with who we're attracting to One Real Mortgage.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're adding, so it sounds like 2 different additional streams of income into a real estate agent's business. One is a real originate, where you can partner with an experienced loan officer and they can kind of do all the back end work of originating that loan. And then this other program where you can help grow Real Mortgage. And, an agent could just be doing exactly what they're doing already, but now they have 2 additional streams of income into their businesses.
Yeah.
And so if an agent is interested, they want to, get their loan officer license, become a loan officer with Real Mortgage, what does that process look like? Is it just a matter of taking continuing ed classes and then passing a national exam?
Yeah, great question. So basically what happens is you have to get your, what they call an NMLS ID first. So the great part is we understand it can be daunting and it can be overwhelming. And we don't want the agent losing sight of their existing business and taking too much time away from their growth. So we have a third-party company that will literally hold their hand. I think they charge like $130 to $140 per state. They will walk you through all of the steps, right? So at a high level, what do you need to do? You need your NMLS ID to do anything. That's your proprietary identification in the mortgage world. From there, you need to complete 20 hours of online education. It's called your federal education, along with 2 to 4 hours of your state requirements of education. You can do that in 3 days, 7 days, 14 days. There's a number of options you have to complete it in a certain time period. From there, I always recommend everyone to complete federal and state at the same time, get it knocked out, and then start taking these practice test questions that this platform that we use offers. Once you're getting into a comfortable gear of where you're passing that by, in the 90s over 10 to 12 consecutive times, you're probably going to be good to go when it comes to taking the national exam. When you take the national exam, though, that's a national exam. So think of this. If you want to get licensed in Maryland, you're going to go through your education, your state education requirements. Then you have one national exam you have to take, which covers the whole entire country. If you pass that with a 75 or more, you're pretty much almost done at this stage to kind of get your license approved. You have to do some background checks and things of that sort. And then from there, you get approved by us, we sponsor your license, and you're good to go. So that's the great thing about licensing with mortgage. It's not state by state. So if you do your 20 hours and your actual exam is passed, and you want to add additional states, you're not having to do the 20 hours and exam again. You're just doing a few hours of the state requirements and some background checks or whatever they require to get that additional state and pay a couple $100 in fees. And just from a cost perspective, typically one state to get from start to finish all of your expenses, the first time when you first get your license, it's probably gonna be about $500 to $600. If you want to add additional states, it might be an additional $200 to $300 or whatever it may be per that. But initially it's about $500 to $600. And then every year you're just doing continuing education online again through our vendor, about 12 hours of online education. And you're paying about a few $100, couple $100 in fees to keep your license active. And that's it, just every year. So you're not having to take an exam every year and do 80 hours, 40 hours. It's pretty much 12 every year after that.
And so Real's obviously pretty heavily focused on AI right now. That's where a lot of our innovation and a lot of our developers are working on right now with our Leo Copilot. And I've heard Tamir talk about how the future of this industry is like AI enabled agents. So agents incorporating AI and using it in their businesses to get leverage. What do you think the role of AI is for mortgage loan officers as well? Do you think that incorporating AI into your loan officer business is going to be as critical as it is for real estate agents?
100%. So like I will say the most common use cases today are marketing, creating content, right? All of those things, it goes real estate mortgage is pretty much identical, right? But I look at the mortgage efficiency game, and again, back to the utopian world of 10 days, AI has to play a part in that, right? So if you look at the common questions that are asked by clients, by real estate agents, by anyone involved in the mortgage process, they're typically the same questions. The same explanations are usually given. How do we create AI, conversational AI, I should say, where the client doesn't feel like it's a bot, but an actual human, based on how we would speak to them, right? Like obviously, as you know, the more we feed AI, the more it'll get to know who we are and how we communicate. But how do we leverage conversational AI? And I know Tamir does this as well with the voice side of it, saying like, hey, we have, you can hear my voice. Like, how do we do things like that? I believe, again, future state of generations now, if we look at like our younger generation, they're not going to want to sit on a phone call or log in. They just want to be told what to do, right? And if we can enable AI to do that for them, what does that do for us on the sales side, the relationship building side? It frees up more time to build more and more relationships. So I know a lot of individuals in mortgage and real estate get nervous around AI, thinking it may replace. It will replace things that we do. But when we replace things that we do, we shouldn't be looking at that as being eliminated. We should be looking and saying, how do we leverage AI to make us more efficient and better at filling the funnel? And sales, I tell this to everyone, the goal of the most successful salespeople in this world, regardless of industry, they all share one unique trait. They're master relationship builders. They know how to make the person feel and want to work with them, right? If we think about real estate agents or mortgage loan officers, we're all pretty much selling and doing the same thing for the most part, right? From a process perspective, mortgage is the same products, the same conversations, the same flow for the most part. We have little, nuances here and there. We want to get efficient, but essentially it's the same. So what makes it possible that a client or an agent prefers working with X, Y, and Z? And it's not money, right? I know people say, oh, it's like the co-sponsorships and all this. That's not it. That's a piece of it. But ultimately, you want to enjoy working with that individual. You want to have some, relationship where there's a little bit of like stickiness happening there. And everyone's personalities in this world are different. So just because they don't want to work with you doesn't mean that you're a bad executor or person. It just means it's just not the right fit. But I think AI can drive a lot of that, right? To streamline a lot of these like administrative things, possibly, or conversational things that people are having, in order to kind of have like, not have to keep picking up the phone and having this conversation, right? Kind of having everything readily available. But mortgage, I believe, is the place where AI should exist as well, because 90% of the products, the processes, the conversations are pretty much the same. It's just the delivery of how we're giving that information to make the other person feel comfortable that's different.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think most of the conversations are exactly the same. Like, hey, how do I start the home buying process? What are the documents that I need? How much do I qualify for? What kind of incentives are there? What are taxes? Like, it is the exact same questions.
Yeah.
And do they have plans? So our I know with Real Broker, our plans are ultimately to give agents access to Leo that we can use it with our consumer. Is that going to be ultimately integrated for Real Mortgage as well and the loan officers?
Yep, 100%. So Leo Copilot will be integrated. It kind of is today. Like as we're playing around with it, it's going to be asking, because when anyone is looking to buy a home, I always believe the financing piece should be the first thing that clients look at. I understand the house is beautiful. Finances are daunting. No one wants to talk about it. But essentially, like without wasting anyone's time, it should be pre-approval first, right? And we actually take it a step further where our pre-approvals, for the most part, we have an option if the agent wants it, where they're underwritten by an actual underwriter to make sure they're fully vetted. So there's no surprises. So imagine though, with all of those things, everything's formula driven. So right now we will have the integration with mortgage where if they're looking to get pre-approved, we redirect them through the mortgage flow. But eventually, as we continue to build, the goal isn't to have them, like I said, put information in, it's to pull information. So how are we pulling information? There's many ways we can do it. We can pull it through data, but we can also pull it through AI conversations, right? And just kind of like real-time quick logic, where there's no delays. And we know that not in a bad way, but us as human beings, we're always busy and distracted by other things. Not intentional, but that delays things for the consumer in order to get their information or needs met quicker. So I believe AI will move things a lot faster.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think so too. And I think that, in our industry or in the real estate brokerage side, I think Real has the most advanced AI out of any brokerage out there. Most of them don't even have an AI, but out of the few that do, like since we've built it ourselves, we have got the most advanced one, which gives me a lot of confidence and makes me really excited about what's going to happen in the future. And so if somebody's watching this and they want to learn more about Real Mortgage, what's the best place for them to go?
So a couple things. I mean, definitely check us out on social media. One Real Mortgage. We're active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Feel free if you want to hear more about my thoughts on the industry, the market in general. Follow me at Mr.SamirDedia on Instagram as well, and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. And we have our website, onerealmortgage.com, where you can fill out a quick inquiry form. We're also in WorkVivo. We're very, very active in WorkVivo. You can feel free to drop a message in there, and someone will connect with you right away. We have many outlets of communication, and that's the beauty of being integrated. Again, you can also go in through Reason, right? And go in through Reason, click on One Real Mortgage, and you can find all sorts of information on all different topics and ways to connect with us as well. So we are everywhere. If I ever hear that someone wasn't able to get in touch with us, something's probably wrong or misunderstanding. We're connected with our Real agents everywhere.
Yeah, I love that, man. All right, Samir, man, this was really insightful. I really want to appreciate and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Malcolm. Appreciate having me on.
Of course. So if you're thinking about getting your loan officer license and joining Real Mortgage, I want you to shoot me an email at malcolm@livinginmaryland.com. I'll be able to connect you to the right people and help you with the next step in that process. And if you want to see more interviews with leadership here at Real, check out this playlist right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.